Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of Kaveman Musings. Try number 72,000. This episode we're going to be getting into a little bit about kind of things that are going wrong in the country. And then I'm going to start kind of pivoting and going into learning about why we have the problems we do and then having conversations with people about how to fix them. So that's kind of my plan of action for the next few weeks. And what motivates me to do this stuff is that I was writing letters back and forth to my dad in my early 20s. And in one of them he said that as a kid I was curious and I always wanted to know how things worked. And as I grown up I kind of got more scared of breaking things. So I stopped exploring how things worked because the things around me were breaking or broken. My parents split up when I was 14 and the two things I wanted were combat and marriage. Part of what I wanted for marriage was I'm going to show them how it's done. So clearly I'm an idiot. But, I'm an idealist. I love learning. And sometimes you learn through the bad things. But that's kind of what has led me to do this. So happy anniversary to all you dads. Happy anniversary. No. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. I hope you're being a good priest, prophet, provider, and protector for your families. I hope that you are living the life that God has for you and caring for your family. Happy Juneteenth. I think it's a good thing to celebrate Juneteenth, the day that the last slaves knew that they'd been emancipated, that they were free. It's sad that it took a civil war to do that, but it's kind of part of that process of making the country better, fixing the things that are wrong. And this morning, Joe Biden fell off a bike. I want to laugh, but I want to cry. Because he's physically frail and just mentally not there. Plus, he's corrupt, and I disagree with him on a lot of things politically. And Kari Willis, the safety from the Colts retired to become a minister. And I think that's awesome. I think if we have more focus on morals and how to live instead of sports and how to be entertained, I think that'll help. I think a lot of problems that are facing our country right now is because we have a rotting and corroded moral foundation. One of the worst things that we do is abortion. I don't understand the line of thinking that says, oh yeah, I don't want this kid, so I'm going to end his life. I do not get that at all. I was listening to Jocko Unraveling last night and learned that we've cut our capacity for mental health facilities by 95%. At the same time, we have been embracing mental health issues. So if you're a man and think you're a woman, then for some reason that's reality. But if you're a woman who is rail thin and think you're fat, we say, oh, whoa, okay, that's not reality. Let's help you fix your focus so that you actually see what is reality. And we've kind of gone away from having fundamental truth, and now it's your truth and my truth, and we're infiltrating the schools with this. Boys in girls' restrooms, boys competing against girls in sports. And when a boy assaults two women because he told him that he was a girl, so he went to the girls' restroom and then raped two girls. Parents are fed up, and the government shouldn't be treating them like domestic terrorists. Maybe we should be looking and saying, hey, we messed that up. Let's go back to reality. Let's fix these problems that we've created. And once we fix these moral problems, then we can start fixing the societal problems like divorce and fatherless homes. A fatherless home, if you are raising kids without a father, I'll have an episode of that, maybe a conversation or two about homes without dads, more likely to drop out of school, these shooters. come from fatherless homes in most cases. And these things have a high fiscal and societal cost. That's part of the reason that I'm a conservative, that I'm right wing. Because I see these problems and they're all related. And if we would fix the moral, we would have better society. We would have better economics. And we've kind of let things fall apart. We have these economic problems with 8.6% inflation. And that's not even telling the whole story, because ground beef is up 70, 80 cents a pound. Pork is up 20 cents a pound. Bacon's up $1 a pound. And China closing their Smithfield plant in California isn't going to help. Eggs are up $1.20 a dozen over last year. That's almost double. Chicken breasts are up almost $1 a pound. Milk is up 80 cents a gallon. Cheese is up 50 cents a pound. $1 a pound if you get the good stuff. Kraft sharp cheddar. Now that's the good stuff, and it's very expensive. I bought some stuff at Walmart for about $4 2 months ago, and when I bought it last week, it was $4.50. So that's almost 12% increase in price in 2 months. Part of that's monetary inflation, part of that's supply chain issues, part of that is gas prices. And we've got an administration that said they're going to transition off fossil fuels.
And when it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over.
They're going to stop the Keystone XL. We're going to stop drilling. So some of these problems are going to be election problems, that if we don't elect different people, we're going to keep the same problems. So unless Joe Biden can change course and say, okay, we're going to let you drill on federal lands. We're going to let you drill in Anwar again because we've been doing it for decades safely. We're going to give you offshore drilling again. We're going to give you leases. We're going to build some refineries. If we don't have some of that, then we could be stuck with high gas prices for years, and that's going to be bad. The first week of June, gas was up almost 50 cents a gallon in that 1 week. That's nuts. Prices are going to skyrocket on the things we're buying because it costs so much more to ship. It's up about almost $1 in the last 6 weeks. This is not sustainable, and releasing a third of the strategic reserves isn't going to fix that. They're strategic reserves for when we need it, not for when we need to try to fix a political issue. So I might do an episode or two on kind of the strategic reserves, what they're for, when they get emptied, what it takes to take a barrel of oil and turn that into a gallon of gas, and kind of other things we get, kind of the process of where it goes. The Fed is taking steps to fix things economically. It went up. The interest rate was raised 0.75%, I think, in the last week. And they're kind of following the roadmap of the early 80s. They don't want to tell you that, but it's Reaganomics. You can't print this much money and have this much debt without issues, without inflation. Now, if your economy is growing, you can print money, and if they're growing at the same rate, then you're fine. But if your economy is growing like this, and you're printing like this, well, that gap has to be filled by something. And that's one thing that Trump had going really well before COVID and was trying to rebuild, and now I don't know what Joe Biden's thinking, but we're still not back to pre-COVID numbers on jobs. Rand Paul tried to put out a budget. He said that if we just return to 2019 spending levels 3 years ago, then we would have a $300 billion surplus from our tax receipts this year. So the Trump tax cuts did actually cut taxes, and they increased revenues. Some people said that would happen. Some people said, that's the devil. It's never going to happen. But it is. If we just cut spending to the spending levels of 3 years ago, we would have had a $300 billion surplus. Instead, we've got, I think, another trillion or two in debt. Yeah, that's just crazy to think about. The problem is spending. The government's created a lot of the problems. DEF was 2010. All the diesel trucks created after 2010 need DEF just to start. So that's another additional cost in shipping in diesel fuel. I don't want to destroy this environment. It's the only one we have. But some of this stuff isn't about the environment, it's about control. And those are some things that we can look at to try to fix that. We haven't built a refinery in this country for 45 years. If they really cared about green energy, we'd be building carbon-free energy baseload. Like, we need baseload. You can't just have windmills and solar panels. They don't produce power all the time that we need in a baseload. And to do that, the one we have is nuclear. We're not doing it. We have built 2 nuclear plants in the last 25 years, both in Georgia. No, we've just built 2. They had a dream of building about 1,000 of them across the country, and then they got stopped at like 110, 120. And because of closings in the last decade, we're down to, I think, 92. There are 2 more being built in Georgia in Vogtle 3 and 4. Vogtle 3 will be online producing power, hopefully at the end of this year, beginning of next year, and Vogtle 4 will be the end of next year, hopefully online. And they take a decade to build. They cost billions to build because the government has so much regulation and red tape. They're not feasible. So I might do an episode on ESG and how that's the equator principles are affecting our ability to sustain ourselves. I would rather have oil and natural gas from America because we do it cleaner. We can either bring it in from Asia and China or Asia and Russia, and their standards aren't near as high as ours. We could go completely carbon neutral tomorrow, and it's not going to matter because of how much China and Russia are putting out. So there is a sustainable way to do it. We just need to actually do it. So that's going to be some of the future episodes, and I'll get into kind of things that we can do, local elections, local issues that we can fix. What would make you feel like your kids are safe in school? How can we be living differently to reach more people so that we can change culture, change society? I think that the way to do that is Jesus Christ. I think he is the way that people's lives change. So I'll have huge conversations with people that can hopefully help us, plot a course for that as well. So I think that's all for today, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.